Hello there, people of the internet, and welcome to another episode of Political Headache. My name is Oloo, and today I am joined in studio by a very special guest.
Pan-African feminist.
A Pan-African feminist and a government critic.
Yes, bad governance.
Bad governance critic. Miss Jill.
Yeah.
Please introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about what you do and what you're passionate about.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Agi. My name is Kaunda Jill, a young Pan-African feminist based in Kenya, and I'm a bad governance critic. So anything that does not sit well with human rights, I'll be there to critique it. Yeah, that's me.
Thank you for joining us.
Yeah.
Your inaugural Political Headache episode. We want to talk about Hannah Cheptumo, the newly confirmed CS for gender, arts, heritage and culture. It's a very wide ministry. She caused a lot of havoc online due to her comments on femicide. We have been having, there has been a big push for femicide to be declared a crime in Kenya, which hasn't happened. And she made some very reckless comments about university students. She basically said university girls are being killed because they're after money. But her entire vetting process was also just very interesting, and there's so much to talk about this ministry that is actually responsible for ensuring the safeguarding of women. I mean, women and men, but in this case, the safeguarding of women. And for somebody to be nominated to such a position and to make such remarks, it means we are very far off from where we are supposed to be headed as a country. But let me get your initial reactions to her vetting process, the comments she made on femicide.
Wow. First, I'll start by saying it was so embarrassing, and shame on her. She started talking about how economic situation, how harshly the economic times are, and how they're the cause of gender-based violence. She started from there.
Yeah.
Citing that where she comes from, girls, face violence because of dependency.
Yeah, she talked about dependency.
And I have a question about that. Do you think dependency causes gender-based violence?
What is the root cause of this? Is there any merit to that? Because when I think about it, sometimes we are told, like she's a boomer. In the generation, she's a boomer. And boomers, I think, lived through such different times, and they just have not adjusted, which is on them, because you need to look at how life is moving. And I think they're the generation that talks most about, hey, you can't just trust a man with everything.
Yes.
Lazima ufiche kitu. They're the generation that you wake up one day, you've been married to this woman for 10, 20 years. This woman is a billionaire. And you guys have been living hand to mouth.
Exactly.
They're a very hectic generation when it comes to money and finances.
Yeah.
And I think it has really colored how they see relations between men and women. And so for her to say, I believe that she believes that is one of the causes. Like that when women depend on men,
yes,
it creates a power dynamic there that then leads to violence.
Yes.
But I don't know if that's like a direct correlation.
I can unpack it.
Yeah, let's unpack that.
Gender-based violence is quite broad, very broad, and that's why we must have such kind of a docket in government. And I'll just talk about the economic dependency. Now let's talk about it, the way she put it. Girls face violence because they are highly depending on men.
Yeah.
And for someone who went to school and studied law, I question that degree, because we have seen girls dying, small girls dying. Early this year, there was a girl, a 4-year-old, who was raped and killed and dumped in a thicket, or was it woods? 4-year-old, what was she depending on? So
which money was she after?
What kind of money was she after?
Yeah.
So until we stop thinking like laymen, like ignorant people, we have a long way to go. And it's so sad that it came from someone who is purported to have gone to school and have studied law. Yeah. So economic is not the reason to any form of gender-based violence. It's not the reason, not even close to being a reason. Anyone who wants to kill you will kill you whether you're rich or poor. Anyone who wants to rape you will rape you whether you are in a dera or in a short or in a bikini.
Yeah.
That is someone's choice.
Yeah.
And that's why, and I feel like patriarchy has really made us, has really convinced us that we have other reasons such as economic crisis as cause of violence, but not us.
Yeah.
Bad people like, us perpetrators, they're trying to defend themselves using other reasons. Yeah. And I think this woman, I don't want to blame her, but I feel like she is a product of patriarchy. She is supporting patriarchy in disguise. Yeah. She doesn't know she is, but
because
she is.
She probably benefits from patriarchy, to be
Actually,
honest.
she is not.
She not?
She has never.
How did she find herself here? I think she might be a beneficiary.
She's a people pleaser. We call them pick-me's. We call them pick-me's, people who just want to be picked because they are supporting patriarchy. And we can see, I don't want to mention names in government, but we have people, women, in high-ranking position in government who support patriarchy. And we saw during the last year's protest, women talking about how they will impose tax on sanitary towel. You see, such kind of women are the kind of people I'm talking about. Women who are supporting patriarchy in disguise. So they think they are benefiting from patriarchy, but they are not benefiting from patriarchy. It's eating you too. Yeah. It's eating you too. And I feel the fact that she started talking about economic dependency, and then the Speaker of the House dodged that question, gave another question of what of people who have gone to school and her not talking about girls going to school. So she was thinking that if you don't go to school, you not get money, hence you're depending on.
Yeah, her argument was, if you're uneducated, you have no source of income.
Exactly.
If you have no source of income, you do not have, you have dependency, or you depend on your spouse or whoever else to provide for you. And then that creates an imbalance in the power dynamics.
Yes.
Then the rebuttal from Wetangula was, no, but some of these women that are being killed are in university. They're not uneducated. They are educated women.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. So I love the fact that her mind got jogged a bit because she was clearly showing that she's clueless. Women who have gone to school, we have seen even rising cases of femicide among women who are in tertiary level of education. Yeah. And actually we did a research, I think in 2019, and we saw in 10 women, 5 of them have faced gender-based sexual harassment. As a form of gender-based violence. Sexual harassment.
Big percentage.
And for grades.
For grades.
And that's why you've seen...
In the university.
Yes, there's something called Sex for Grades, things like that, yes. Yeah. And that is how Campus Me Too was born in Kenya. Yeah. So that students can rise above sexual harassment. Yeah. So when you start talking about when you have not gone to school, she's right, but at a very basic level. At a very basic level. For that high-ranking position, you should be talking about how policies have loopholes that exposes vulnerable groups to violence. Yeah. But she did not speak about that.
Do you not think, though, that I always go back to last year, during the first Femicide march. One of the videos that went viral was this man who said, ukikuja date, nikununulie pizza, ukule pizza yangu.
Utalipia.
Na usipolipia, I will kill you.
Wow.
There's a very violent psychology in some men around women and money. And I'd like us to talk a little bit about that. Because even though it's not all encompassing, I feel like there's something there to how men even understand the way they interact with women, and especially when money is involved. It's a very violent culture. Yeah. When we think that because you came to my house, or you came to this hotel that I paid for, and I'm the one who paid for it, whatever, and everything is done, and then the man pays for everything, and then what they expect in return is sexual favors. And
Yeah.
when a woman says no, or a woman is like, yeah, the favor that, or whatever, what I have given you in return is my presence and my time, and I've been here and we've been sharing in this moment together, and then the man feels like they've been cheated.
Yeah.
We've seen this happen a lot, right?
Yes.
Like there's this girl, was that in Nyeri or Meru? That I think it's 2023. The one who was killed in a hotel room.
Yes.
Because apparently she did not want to
give in
to the sexual favors that were being demanded of her because she'd spent money.
Yes.
Because this man had spent money on him. Nimelipia lodging, nimelipia I don't know what. It's such a weird thing.
Yeah.
But it's in the minds of our men.
Yes.
How do we think about and process that?
So first, I'd love us to know that our culture is embedded and also embedded on patriarchy. We are born in patriarchy, and we are trying to fight this monster, this invisible monster, because you cannot say that is patriarchy, this is patriarchy. You can't point a finger to it.
Yeah.
But I feel over the years, any good thing was for the men, including money and other valuable resources.
Yeah.
Land, name it. Anything of value
was given to men.
Yes, was given to men.
Yeah.
So when I have money, I should be in control of you. That is how we are brought up. You know, your father provides, so you should do this for you, for this and that. Your mother should not do this or earn more than your father. There's that thing of you cannot earn more than your spouse.
Yeah.
You know, the retrogressive culture, because money is linked to power. You know, when you have resources, you're powerful. So our culture has structurally benefited men, so that, you know, they should uphold and protect patriarchy to favor them. So when they feel like they have been providing to you, if they have been providing for you, they feel like they are in control of you. They should be in control of you. And when you deny that, why are you challenging me? So they kill you. That's the option they're left with. They kill you. Or they harm you to an extent that you are maimed or you are left to die.
Yeah. But sometimes it's even just psychological torture, right?
Yes.
It's also like, I'm married to you. It's these stories we hear, like husband and wife. The husband is the provider.
Yeah.
Then if the wife starts getting out of line, quote unquote, then now he withholds money. So now you don't have money to go to the salon. You don't have money for, like, or maybe they just only provide for the child, and then anything that you need is not provided for. Like,
exactly.
There's such a weird, like, I think the fatalities of gender-based violence ends in death. But
unfortunately.
But it starts so far.
Yes.
It starts so far. I think it's, what are they called? African Uncensored talked about all the women that end up, I think some part of the statistic was that like about 40% of women who end up in dead from femicide always have an abusive partner psychologically.
Yes.
Even way before I kill you, there's all these ways that my interactions with you are not safe. They're not, you know, and I wonder because I think we also think as Kenyans that the way our politicians act and behave and the values that they espouse, that we leave them there with them.
Yes.
We don't see that the violence of the state follows us to our houses.
Unfortunately.
And so when someone who's being nominated for cabinet secretary, for a cabinet secretary position, says things like those, which is like, this is what they believe, we think it's just them.
It's not them.
It has such repercussions in everyday lives, in how men and women interact with each other. And
so let me, to address all this, you have to address gender-based violence holistically. Holistically. I'm not denying the fact that, yes, because of dependency, but I don't love to saying dependency is the cause of violence, but might be contributing, but we should not, as someone who has gone to school, you should not be using that as the main reason why people get killed.
So what are the other...
The holistic way to approach this is, I wish she could have mentioned about women economic empowerment. And I know, we all know women economic empowerment. People think it's about table banking and making women, Chama. It is okay, but it is beyond that. It is beyond that. You should talk about how women don't go to work. Address these cultural barriers. Why women don't go to work? Why do women stay back at home, do unpaid care work? And unpaid care work is like washing dishes, sweeping the house, spreading the bed, taking care of the children. That is unpaid. That is contributing immensely to the economy.
Yeah.
Those are the reasons why women are not having money in their pockets.
Yeah.
Or if a woman gets a job, they say, you are a woman. What kind of expenses do you have? You should be paid less.
Yeah.
And the man...
People still doing that.
Well, you'll be surprised. Ask people to show their paychecks. Yes.
So men are
paid more. Yes, because they are known to be the providers to having all these resources.
Yeah.
So someone who purports to have gone to school, or someone who thinks is eligible for high-ranking position, should be thinking in that direction.
Yeah.
How can we make sure now our girls are economically empowered?
Yeah.
How do we make sure our women have money in their pockets? You cannot just go and give people jobs without addressing the root causes. You should address the root causes, the ones that you've spoken about back at home. How are we addressing gender-based violence back at home? Economic, social, political.
Yeah.
How are we addressing back at home? Are you telling your girls to wash the dishes while the boys to go and drive their dad to work? Are you seeing that?
Yeah.
So it starts from way back. And I think Hannah Cheptumo should have spoken about, yes, economic dependency, but should have articulated how policy can be spearheaded. Women economic empowerment policies can be spearheaded to elevate women from suffering.
Yeah. Yeah.
And not saying that it's because of dependency, that's why we are killed.
Because
why is she not? Yes. So what did she mean? Actually, she should apologize, to all women.
She said university students are after money, which is why they're ending up.
Let's talk about that after money. Let's talk about money. Again, I know we've spoken about men having money. They feel like they have to control you.
Yeah.
And women who have gone to school, you should know there's a statistics that UN Women gave that if a woman has gone to school up to the end level, let's say tertiary level, their chances to face gender-based violence has been reduced to 50%. So a girl who has gone to the university, chances of them being violated has been reduced to 50%. They know somewhat their rights.
Yeah.
So this girl, in quotes, has eaten your money, your fare, and then you think you'll kill her? They will tell you, but I didn't force you to give me that money. And, money and harming another person does not go hand in hand.
Yeah.
It doesn't.
Yeah.
So a university student who has eaten money, trust you me, and they don't want to sleep with you, they won't sleep with you. So they end up being killed. Actually, maybe statistics show maybe they're killed more than in any other person, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah.
Not because they stood up and said no. And because their decision is harming, it's hurting.
It's contrary to what you expect.
Yes, it's contrary to this.
That, because I've spent money
yes,
with you,
it's contrary to the status quo. Now, who are you to go against what has been there?
Yeah.
We kill you. And I know ignorant people will start saying that, why do we have femicide cases right now? Too much of femicide cases right now, other than long ago.
Yeah.
But femicide has been happening. It was just under-recorded. Under-recorded.
There's a big debate about femicide versus homicide.
Yes.
And why it's important to create a category of crimes.
Yes.
Called femicide.
Yes.
So there's two big things that I've seen that I think is worth unpacking. So there's the argument that even Hannah Cheptumo was asked by Chungu, I think, if I'm not wrong. I think he said, are we separating crimes?
Yes, was the issue.
Are there crimes? See, all of these people have just murdered. If you kill a man, if you kill a woman, if why are we trying to?
Exactly.
So that's a big debate that we need to discuss.
To discuss.
And then I saw a lawyer on the socials talking about it and saying there's the big challenge with making femicide a crime on its own is being able to prove that that crime was made solely because of gender.
Yes.
And so, what are your thoughts about that? Like, how do you think about this? Because I know there's a very big push right now for femicide to be made a crime category. How do you think about that? How do you process that?
As I answer that, I'll start with this story of that student at Moi University who was butchered publicly.
Yeah.
Yes, you see, in such scenarios where, because you are just a woman who tried to make a decision that is contrary to the status quo and you are killed, it should be made a standalone crime so that people should understand its intensity, its heaviness, because it's heavy. We should not, I also support, we should not bury femicide inside homicide. It's not like any other death. No, it is not. It is not like a thug came into my house and killed me, as I was trying to. It is not that. It is because my decisions didn't sit well with you. Yeah. And I'm a woman. Yeah. I'm powerless. And you had to prove a point by killing me. Yeah. I was a baby girl.
Actually, the highest percentage of femicide cases are committed by partners and close relatives, like people that are close to you.
Or people who are well known to you. Actually,
well
yes.
Yeah.
And they feel like, biologically, we are not here. Women are, I will not say soft, but biologically, we don't have muscles. So for a man to prove a point, they will smack you down. And, when they hurt you in that manner, that is, you might end up dying. And that's why if it is not put categorically that this is a crime, then people will just be swallowed in homicide. No, it should not be treated as homicide. It should be treated harshly as femicide. A femicide case where I was just killed because I was a woman. I dressed like that and people thought I should be undressed and be killed. I am a baby girl. Let's say 4 years, 3 years. Someone saw me in the compound and saw that they should rape me, and since I know them, they should kill me. Yeah. It is a femicide. It should really be treated as a standalone crime. Not because, it can sit in homicide because, you cannot point a finger on some cases. Yeah. But why are civil society pushing for it to be recognized as a crime? So that the heaviness, people should know, if I do this, these are the repercussions. There is a law against it. If you go and check the laws that protect the vulnerable groups, and in this case, women and girls, we have the Sexual Harassment Act, that when it is stated, if you rape someone under the age of this, these are the penalties. Yeah. We want now a segment on femicide. If you do this, if you kill someone because of their gender, you will go to jail for this term. Yeah. Or bail on this term, or none. Yeah. There should be a segment because so that people can understand its intensity. Go to any remand where people are locked up as they wait for their verdict. They will tell you there are some cases they are afraid of. Sexual harassment cases and murder. Because it is categorically, they have been set aside as special kind of cases. Yeah. And that's why crimes, when you go to a remand, they start talking about, at least my case is weak. I just robbed a chicken. And someone, I raped a girl. Or someone I killed and raped. Yours is treated as a special kind of case. And that's why when femicide will be treated as a special crime, or a crime on its own, people will understand now the heaviness of this. Yeah. I'll not be treated as any kind of let's say homicide perpetrator. I'll be treated as a femicide perpetrator. Me. Yeah. So when you think about doing something to someone, you will reflect back on how heavy that law is. Yeah. And actually those perpetrators can be held, accountable. Yes, accountable. Unfortunately, more than 129. We have more than 129 victims. I don't love calling them victims, but right in this case, I'll call them victims because they didn't survive. Victims of femicide. It's so bad that we are talking about victims and we are not talking about the perpetrators. Where are the 129 men who killed women because of their gender? Where are they? Are you seeing that?
Yeah.
Ask any woman around, do you know of a woman who has ever faced gender-based violence? They will tell you, I have
Yes.
one. Ask any man, do you know of any man who has ever violated the rights of, violated a woman? They'll tell you no.
Yeah. So that's the problem with the argument that this happens to both men and women, is that it disproportionately impacts women.
Yes.
Over men, right? And I think it gets lost in we get lost in the gender war.
Yes.
Which detracts from a very necessary conversation. And it's not saying that we shouldn't have conversations about why men are killed.
Yes.
Because even when we think about it, for me, the thing that has been on my mind a lot is like how the state is killing men. The state kills men a lot. The state kills men in the streets.
Yes.
Right. Abducts men, whatever.
Yes.
When we went to march for the Femicide march the first time, there were even no cops. There was nobody. It was just us. It was just women and then the friends of the women who came to
because
see
men
us
are afraid.
Sure. But no, I don't know if it's because men are afraid, but I'm saying that like when we make this discussion a gender war discussion, we detract, right?
Yes.
Millie Odhiambo asked, I think, to continue that conversation during this vetting, asked about like, what plans do you have for men?
Yes.
Because maybe that's what the men want to hear, so that we stop talking about femicide and making this a femicide issue, making murder a femicide issue.
Yes, or the CS of femicide issue.
Yes, you don't want to become a CS of femicide. You want to be a case of... Our politicians say really dramatic things.
It's so embarrassing, Yani.
But there's a necessary discussion that needs to be done to delineate those two things. So that we stop saying...
Let's talk about that.
We stop getting into...
Yes. That
it's
war.
A gender war. It's a gender war. Men are also being killed. Men are being...
Let me put it clear. Let me put it clearly.
Yeah.
The society is diverse with different, made up of different type of people from different cultures. Even the world itself, it's so diverse.
Yeah.
Made up of people from different culture, name it.
Yeah.
And with all these classes, we are different from each other. Some classes, depending on the class that you fall in, you might be in a position of, you're maybe marginalized or minority group, which makes you vulnerable. Now, when you start talking about, I hate that fact that when you start talking about women's rights or gender-based violence, men think that we are there to attack them. Who has the energy?
Yeah.
Who has the energy? Learn it and learn it today. Gender-based violence can fall on anyone.
Yeah.
We are not denying that even men face gender-based violence. But whose house is on fire? Whose house is on fire? Women's house is on fire.
Yeah.
Because women and girls, specifically girls, I'm not talking about boys, girls, are the most vulnerable in the community. I know someone will talk, will say or argue, what about that man who's disabled? I think about a woman who's disabled. When you talk about what about a boy who's disabled, think about that girl who's disabled.
Yeah.
Or let me say intersex who's disabled. Let's divert from men and girls. Yeah. About intersex. All of them are vulnerable. This group of people are vulnerable. And they're minority in their nature of them being women. And that's why feminism comes in. When you talk about feminism, men think we are there to throw stones at them. Yeah. Really?
Yeah.
Really, no. We don't have the energy to start fighting another gender.
No. You have a lot on your plate.
On our plate.
Yeah.
And on that note, a lot on our plate. So we are trying to remove that pieces that is making our plate full by distracting us, by harming us. We are trying to offload our plate.
Yeah.
And by offloading, that is when we are demanding for femicide to be acknowledged as a crime, or to be known as a crime. We are trying to offload so that we are left with little burden to none at all. Yeah. But men think when we are doing that, now they are saying, who will fight for us? Unfortunately, I'm not a man. I'll speak about me. I'm a woman.
Yeah.
And let's be driven by data. Research has been done. Women are leading in, being survivors of violence, victims of violence. Women are the most vulnerable. Yeah. So when you start talking about men, think about data. Now let's talk about data. Research it.
Yeah.
Ask anyone. They'll tell you data. Women are the most vulnerable. Let me ask you right now, how do you walk at night?
How do I walk at night?
Yes, how do you walk at night?
I don't walk at night if I can avoid it.
Yes, and when you walk at night in a dark corner, what do you think of?
Yeah, it's always, who am I going to meet?
And then
what will their intention be? Will they be a good person?
Are you afraid to lose your phone?
No.
What are you afraid of?
Yeah.
Being touched inappropriately, being raped, or being killed.
Yeah.
What are men afraid of walking at night? To lose their devices, gadgets, etc.
Yeah.
But we are there. I'm afraid to lose my phone, but I'm also afraid to being sexually harassed and raped.
Yeah.
I have all this in my head. So when we start thinking from a human perspective, we'll not see gender-based violence as a fight between two genders. No. And back to our CS nominee. Right now,
not a nominee anymore.
Not a nominee anymore. That is so sad. Kutetea serikali ni ngumu. It's so hard to defend this government.
Yeah.
Because someone has just shown that they cannot think the way we are talking.
Yeah.
And they have been given the sword to power. The sword of
to
power.
Be in charge, yeah.
To be in charge to implement what? I'd love to. I wish she spoke about how girls can go to school. It's so sad that such recommendations come from other ministries. She didn't talk about how, that position talks about policy change.
How policies impact.
Yes, policy implementation.
Life, yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
None. She
Let
didn't
me
talk
ask you
about that.
Now that we've landed on education, the question in my mind is this: we are increasingly very exposed.
Yes.
Or you would say we have access to a lot of knowledge as a society, as a culture. And you would hope that because a lot of us are exposed to conversations such as this. You're seeing the data, you're seeing the conversations online about these gender issues. Why are we not becoming better? Because the idea is that a knowledgeable or an educated citizenry are able to engage with issues better. They're able to resolve issues better. They're able to have more amicable ways of resolving their issues. Like if you're a man who saw maybe your dad do certain things to your mom, right? Why do you end up being exactly like that? Like we always hope that like children become better. You do better than your ancestors. You do better than your parents. Like the future belongs to the young. But we have seen men our age also indulge in these kinds of things. Like they're not very different. We've not become any better. And the question in my mind is like, with all the exposure and the knowledge and all of, why hasn't it changed how we think about these issues?
Actually, I can just respond to that. We are progressing quite well. We are not yet there. We are not even close to being there, but at least we are progressing. We are moving. At least people can read. Thanks to Kibaki in Kenya, people can read and articulate things and reason around things. Somewhat it has changed. Our perception around gender-based violence somehow is changing. And the way you've said, why, some men have the same, they behave like their fathers who was, let's say, violent against their mother. That is psychology also. And I'm not a psychologist myself, but I think that also contributes to that. But then again, gender-based violence, Hannah, at least this one I can support her. Gender-based violence should be studied in school.
Yeah.
So that girls and boys should start learning about it at a very early age. Go read about education system of European countries, to be specific, Scandinavia countries. Ooh, those children are woke. Touch them inappropriately, you have sexually harassed them. When did you know about sexual harassment if it was not at the university level?
Yeah.
Never in our education system did we study about sexual harassment. Oh, that's embarrassing. Yes, it should be brought to, we should study it. We should have a curriculum on gender-based violence.
Yeah.
Yes. So that one will lead us away from our retrogressive culture that says a girl should sit well. A girl.
And a man.
Well, what about the man? So meaning all these things that we've been taught by culture is not working. It has proven not to work because the cases are there. Yeah. And right now, the cases are not increasing. Actually, they were just not recorded back in the days. And right now, we are in the digital era. Everyone is with their phone. Right now, mainstream media gets their information from individuals in the society. Yeah. So only that right now, these cases are being exposed. Yeah. People are being exposed to reality. Yeah. And we are thinking, it is this bad. Yes, it is this bad. It has been this bad.
It has been this bad.
Yes, it has been this bad.
Yeah.
And imagine we have places where people are not digitally empowered. It is not recorded. Yeah. So I think we have made some steps, but we are not yet there. And right now, the generation that we are in right now, Hannah is a Gen Boomer. Gen Boomer are pleasers, are booming. You give them milk, they are quiet. We are not our parents. We are not our parents. We are not our great grandparents. We are not them. We are woke. We have gone to school. Yeah. We know the right and we know the wrong, and that's the power of education. Yeah. When when a society is educated, they are able to distinguish right and wrong in whatever form. Yeah. And that's why right now people think everyone is woke right now, somewhat, not all of them, but we have a good number of the Gen Z woke. They cannot tolerate some nonsense because they know, no, does not sit well with them, and they are not cowards to say no. And that's why these cases are actually, they can rise or go down. Hopefully they will go down because we have a generation that you cannot touch a girl inappropriately. They will fight back.
What happened
or
with
they
the
say
boomers?
No.
What used to happen? Like if
something, I think it's just about generation.
What do you think? Like if a boomer was like touched inappropriately, what would they do?
Hi. Have you been to ministries? I hope someone will be watching from ministries. If there's a place where sexual harassment is fanya, it's ministries. Open your skirt to get a job. Open your skirt, be promoted. I have had cases. I'll not mention how many, but there are so many cases. I once asked someone from a certain ministry, do you have sexual harassment policy? What is that? It is common to please your boss so that you can get something in return.
And the bosses are mostly men?
Unfortunately, yes. Yeah. And if you go to those ministries are made up of old people, Gen Boomers now, and Gen X's. Okay. You see, so they have believed that is the system, that is the way to go. I should please someone. If I'm a man, I should give pesa kidogo hongo so that I can get a job. Or if I'm a woman, should I tell you? Yeah, do what is necessary. And it's so bad. Yeah. It's so bad. There's this time, I'm not afraid to say, there's this police person told me, she thought I'm a human rights. I tell people I'm a human rights activist, and she said, please, sometimes fight for us too. They cannot fight for themselves.
To the woman police?
Yes.
Yeah.
Sexually harassed? Yes. But it's normalized. It's normal. It's normal when I go to the office and say, Mbono kono umama. It's normal when I go to the office and say, hey, imekukamata, go imekukamata, you get. It's very normal. And actually, that is not sexual harassment, according to them. So even sleeping with you should not be a problem.
It's just another...
Yes,
another
you
day.
need promotion, Amma. You need a job.
Mtakaje.
It is, I don't know, it is bad. And that's why we also have a problem with women being nominated to positions of power. Because men are the ones spearheading these positions, or rather recommending these positions. Guess who they nominate? Your guess is as good as mine. And that's why we have some women in power. Yes, to achieve the gender role, we have women in power who didn't get that position out of qualification, but because they pleased their boyfriends.
And now that you mentioned that, I was actually trying to interrogate this affirmative action issue and why we end up seeing so many women in positions of power not really
working,
not really doing much.
Yeah.
It's such an unfortunate thing because it starts from, we need representation from men and women in positions of power. We need women to hold instruments of power, right? A very noble idea.
Very noble.
But how do we end up with these kinds of women?
Let me just talk about that.
Whose qualifications are very questionable.
Yeah.
Whose morality
questionable.
is very, very questionable. It's like you
people please pick me.
The woman with the finger.
Yes.
Her. How do we end up with someone like that in a position of power or leadership?
Yes, or the woman with the sanitary towel.
Yeah.
I would say
drama too. Like that time Miss Oroba opted to act.
Yeah.
She decided to act. Yeah. I'm like, okay, sawa. Girls don't have sanitary towels. Everybody has been doing that. So many of us work.
We do that. We donate every day, yes.
But I do not need to stain my dress to make a point.
Yeah. That act was good. If you ask me that,
I did not like that because I'm just like, you're acting.
Oh yeah.
And also now you have been chased from this. Now you're outside. How are you going to be leading when you're outside? Because now the men in these positions are just thinking, okay, itu ni drama hii mambo ya wamama.
Now on staining the dress, that was the reason why she was
yeah.
Oh yeah. Then that was ignorance of her to do that. Staining the dress outside the parliament, it's okay. You could have stained during rallies when we support policies that will, are driving policy change on, let's say, free sanitary towels. She was doing it at the wrong place.
No, but I don't think a CS or a senator or a woman in leadership, we all know you're not struggling to buy sanitary towels.
Yes, but...
so it's like you're acting, you're in a skit.
Yes, actually she was in a skit.
Articulate the issue.
Unfortunately, that skit could have been so powerful if she sided with the people to reject the finance bill. Right now, she looked like an hypocrite. A hypocrite, sorry. She looked like a hypocrite. You stain your dress and then you support policies that will increase taxes on the same sanitary towel. Unaka mujinga. Because then that act could have been powerful during, let's say, the reject finance bill. Could have been powerful then. But right now, she's a pick-me. She's a pick-me. Because she wants to suit, patriarchy. She wants to suit the men. And see that I'm with you during the critical issues. Now we are tabling issues on the table. We are tabling them. And we are pushing policies that will see girls have sanitary towel. And you're there supporting policies that will impose sanitary towel, taxes on sanitary towel. and we want to make them affordable.
Which means you are just acting.
That was acting. Shame on her.
I
Yeah.
don't like that.
Yeah.
Like,
That was acting then.
Why do we end up with so many women in leadership
Yes.
that cannot
Let me talk about that
really move the needle
Yes.
to change the way women are treated in this country, to introduce policies that are progressive.
Yes.
Like, why are our women in power not,
Yes, we are pushing for two-third gender rule. And people get it twisted. They get it twisted. Yes, we want women to be nominated. We want women to be elected. Who told you we lack credible women to be elected?
Why? Yeah.
Women who are nominated, especially for the member, let's say, the member of parliament position, they're pushed by political parties. Who are the head of political parties?
Men.
Exactly. Who will they push? Bow to me, bend over, I give you one. Okay? So when you go to that position of power, you are there to please someone who pushed you, pushed you there. And that's why we must address the root causes of all this so that women, we don't look like beggars. Make the political scene fair for everyone so that women can
How do we
vie.
make it fair? Because I feel like, first of all, let's talk about nominated positions.
Nominated position is okay, but we should have a clear structure on how we can nominate qualified women. We have a lot.
How do we do that?
A lot.
Because I feel like how we nominate is by electing.
Yes.
That's how we get our voices heard. We're like,
yes.
okay, Sawa, this one wants to be an MP. We've heard what she wants to do, etc. You go into the ring as a politician, you run for office, you get elected. The electorate gives you a vote of confidence.
Yes.
But now when we also have like about, what percentage of the house is nominated?
I'm not certain. I'm not sure about the.
But each of these political parties that are run
they
by
have
men, they each get
slots
to nominate people. And somehow they always just end up with like bottom of the barrel amongst us. So, and why is that?
Again, I will say, when men are given chance to nominate, now women who were not elected but they were nominated, and I think the nomination aspect of it is not a bad idea. It is just to help us achieve the two-third gender rule that we are really fighting for. But the criteria under which it is being done, that is where we pose a question.
There's a lot of problems with that.
There's a lot of problems because we are given, again, the same men power to nominate women. It's okay. It's okay. We can bear with that for a moment. We can bear with that as they, fill up that number. Yes, we have few individuals who are nominated because, men nominated them because they met some standards. And, Patrick is so evil because they make you feel like, when I talk about that, people will say, now I'm fighting women. No, I'm not fighting women. I'm just fighting bad leadership. Because now, when we have senator women who are, nominated for such positions, we have a good one from ODM who does a very good job. But the ones that we know of, I've proven time and time again not to be doing it, and actually they're pleasing someone. And actually, I'm feeling pity for them because they're not there out of their will. They're not there to do what they love doing, maybe, but they're there to please someone. They're there to please someone and cover someone.
But
and
they know what they're doing.
Yes, they know what they're doing. And then the same patriarchy will say, you see, women hate each other.
Women are their own worst enemies.
We are there. Imagine. It gets it twisted like that.
I think for me, the jury is still out on like nominations and how we do that.
Yes.
Except for somebody like Crystal.
Crystal is good.
Who has been doing a lot of good work, and she's nominated.
She's nominated. So such position is good.
Yeah, so that's good. But when I think about it, and I'm like, every time and time again, we just find actors and drama club enthusiasts.
People pleasers.
In these positions. And even last year when we were out in the streets about Reject Finance Bill, how many women came out to say, hamwezi to tetea the government?
Exactly.
How many of these women came out to even say, basically, we should not kill these children. They are out here, they are fighting for their rights, and they have a right to do so.
Oh.
How many of them did that?
Millie did that on Millie and
Millie
few
did that.
and handful ones.
Didn't have even an issue with people salimiaing her. I remember when she talked about it, she was just like, they've really greeted me on my phone. They've really been greeting me.
Yes.
You know? But why do we not see such a powerful push? Imagine if all women in all levels of government held their heads together to even move this issue of femicide forward. What would happen?
Very powerful. And that's why I'm saying, until we address the root causes of why women don't get elected. You know why women don't get elected?
Why do women not get elected?
So many reasons. One of them, majority of women are not educated. For you to become a governor, you need a degree. How many women have gone to the university? Very few, right? And that's why we had affirmative action. For you to qualify to go to the university, there's, the rates for women and girls, the rates for women went lower. And the boys, so that it can push so many women to go to school and, attain the higher learning education degree. Yeah. But we are not yet there. Yes, we are progressing, but we are not yet there. Yeah. That is one of the reasons. So a woman cannot be a president or a governor without a degree. Another thing is also unpaid care. There's something which we call the triple burden. The triple burden. Guess what? Women face 3 types of burden. Reproductive burden, which is biologic. It's okay. You will give birth. You'll take care of the baby. That is, we were created for that. Unpaid care work. Me too. I'll be doing the house, the jobs in the house. And it is believed that is the work of a woman, to be in the kitchen, to be washing clothes, to make things. And this is a career woman. So remember, you have to give birth. You have to take care of the home. And then you have to respond to your work.
And now you also have to work. Yeah.
You have to work. You have to earn money. This is called the triple burden. Guess how many people are ready now to campaign? Do you know how you've been to campaigns? You've been to campus campaigns. Yeah. Hey, that was campus campaigns.
It's rough.
What of national campaigns? What time will you have with your children? So something will be amiss. And that's why, until we address the unpaid care burden, until we talk about how women need support during reproductive phase, we cannot have equal representation. We will not have equal representation. Because all these are contributing to the availability of women in the political arena.
Yeah.
Yes. So women are left out systematically. So, tunabaki 50 men against 1 woman.
Yeah.
You get the point.
Also, how many women do you know that are like, that will take the bull by its horns that way as well?
Again,
like just being like, me, I'm going to trust myself in the political arena. Like we've seen
very few
men come out of nowhere.
Where they just want to become
rise up in political ranks, right?
Yeah, women face, again, remember the triple the triple burden? Put that aside.
Yeah.
Now, women, by patriarchal nature that we were born in, you are supposed to be soft. Like, mwanaume akiongea, you're not supposed to talk back. Imagine political scenes. Someone will start a very bad narrative that and they sexualize us. You remember that? They use that as a weapon. Yeah. So how many women can take that bullet and turn it for their own favor?
To make it, you have to be a bad girl. You can't be
You have to be a bad girl. You have to be a bad girl. This society, you have to be you have to be in discipline. You have to be a bad girl for you to be recognized, for you to be known, for you to have your rights in check. You have to be a bad girl. Trust you me, go along the streets with a miniskirt. What watakwambia aje sasa? And we see men without vests all over the place. And
you are unmoved.
We are unmoved, Bana.
Another day.
Yes. So, and I love my mom. My mom is a feminist. My mom once told me, and actually during Millie's week of trending, my mom doesn't watch news, but she told me, for you to survive in this world, you're a girl who has gone to school, be a bad girl. Because the status quo is not designed for disciplined women. I'll give an example. Ukinongelesha hivyo, now you bow low. If you do this, you bow low. hey, my friend, raise your head high.
Yeah.
Let them do what they want to do.
Yeah.
Yes. And I feel our CS is just, I think, actually she's a survivor of patriarchy. Because she's that person who bows.
She's like, okay. No, yeah, because you know what happened?
She's not a bad girl.
When I watched her, she started, she was like, she wanted to talk about patriarchy, she wanted to talk about femicide.
And culture.
Quickly, she was told, you're not going to be a minister for femicide, a cabinet secretary for femicide. You're going to be a cabinet secretary for gender, arts, heritage, culture. And quickly she moved away from that. I mean, you're basically in a job interview. Like, that was a job interview and everyone is watching you and all of that. But I feel like she had a very good opportunity to double down and be like, yes, I'm not going to be the cabinet secretary for femicide, but I want to bring this front and center because it's an issue that is front and center on everybody's mind. We've had so many cases, and it is unlegislated, right? So, you know, like, she could have doubled down and pushed back. Because I feel like when they pushed back on her, on what she wanted to talk about, she kind of cowed and she was like, okay, sour, sorry, thank you, Mr. Speaker, thank you, Mr. Speaker, thank you. Mr. Speaker, sir. Mimi is there interjecting, being like, and also point of order, Mr. Speaker, you know, she's continuing with her lie.
Yeah. Hey.
It's such a weird thing that we exist in these spaces. Even as women who would be considered powerful or whatever, like you would be considered a woman with power, but still you're not able to even exercise the full extent of whatever
you need to be a bad girl
position you're in.
Yeah.
Because of our cultural understanding of gender and how women should be sitting or standing in the society.
Yes. I think she's a disciplined.
She's a member
of the society. Yeah, very disciplined, and I don't subscribe to that because. She was somehow. I feel like the members of the house felt like, now we have a match time, a match to you know we are, and then Hannah was the ball, being pushed and pulled, you know, with questions, and she felt like she doesn't want to step on the bad stone. She doesn't want to step on people's feet. Trust me, you cannot survive if you won't step on people's feet. And I feel like. When she was told that she's not going to be a CS for femicide, she could have counter-attacked that in a very professional way. Because it's something that is on public and it's affecting women's prosperity. So it has to be treated with the urgency it deserves. Yeah. But she didn't mention it, so she digressed again.
Yeah, she stepped back.
Yeah, she's a disciplined girl, and I feel that position doesn't require a disciplined person.
Yeah.
Let's talk about feminism and feminists in leadership. People think feminism is about women. And with that issue about Hannah again, I feel like she's yet to become a feminist because that is not feminism. But Professor Magoha, Lit, and other actually CSs were feminists. Magoha, I remember, Magoha fronted the issue of free sanitary towels for ongoing schoolgirls. That's a feminist agenda. That's a feminist leader talking.
Yeah.
But we again see women who are in position of power who are acting against women. Those are not feminists. So I feel until we have leaders who are feminists, we have a long way to go. Leaders.
Do you feel like women leaders have to be feminists to be able to articulate issues that affect women?
They should.
I don't think so.
Women.
I mean, you can hold certain fundamental ideas about the equity of genders, but you don't have to be a self-professed feminist.
You're a feminist if you understand what did you say? If you understand that first sentence.
What?
Gender equity and equality.
The equity of genders, yeah.
You're a feminist. Yeah. That's What is feminism?
No, but like that, I think part of the issues that feminism faces is how much it becomes performative, right?
It's performative.
Yes. But I do not want a leader who proclaims to be a feminist but does not live according to those values.
No,
because
yes.
there's a difference between claiming you're a feminist and actually believing and acting according to those values.
Yeah.
For example, I always tell my friends that my grandmother did not even have a clue what feminism, like
but
what
she
even is that. But she truly treated both of her,
that was a feminist,
kids, her
equally.
her boys and her, in the 40s, 50s, and 60s.
That was a feminist.
Girls and boys in her household went to school. Girls and boys in her household did house chores. Equal opportunity. She was an equal opportunity
That's a
mother,
feminist, yes.
Right? But she never ever had to go out and tell anyone I'm a feminist.
Yes.
She lived according to
I understand
values.
you.
She
Yes.
lived according to values that affirmed the humanity of her daughters as well as her sons. She saw that her children, and in her time, taking girls to school was a waste of money.
Yeah, true.
It was a waste.
That was a feminist.
It was like, hey, you've decided
Ngombe.
your girls that you don't want.
Ngombe.
But she did send all her girls to school. She had to leave the country, but when she came back, she set up businesses with all her children, boys
That
and
is
girls.
nice.
All
That was
her
a feminist.
boys and all her girls, right?
Yeah.
So that's the thing. For me, it's always, how are you living? What values are you espousing in your actual everyday life? Beyond the I can articulate myself and I can proclaim that I'm a feminist without necessarily living according to those values.
Actually, we don't want you to say you're a feminist. Your values will tell us whether you are one or not.
Yeah.
You don't have to tell us.
But it's become we've
Don't
come to
tell
this
us.
place where everybody has to say. Now you have to proclaim.
Oh, sometimes,
and declare yourself. And we get caught up in that, right? We get caught up in this
people
space
get
where
it
we're
twisted.
like,
Yeah.
Now you like,
exactly.
and I'm just like, no.
Our leaders,
whether they've said it or not, it's neither here nor there.
I feel.
How are they living their lives? What are their priorities?
Yes.
What are they trying to do with the power that they have been given by the electorate? That's where we are at.
I feel like when you talk about feminism, our leaders, all leaders, and that's why we are still deeply buried in patriarchy. Our leaders should be anchored on feminist principles and values. Whether they tell us or not, we will see by how they act.
Yeah.
Okay? So until our leaders are anchored on feminist values and principles, we have a long way to go.
Yeah.
We still battle all these small little, talks here and there.
Yeah.
When you're anchored on feminist principles and values of a feminist, you are seeing everyone from an equal view. Everyone is equal. You're offering opportunities for both, for everyone. And you're not just only addressing issues. You are trying to target the most vulnerable people in the society. Right now, women are the most vulnerable. Maybe in future, men will be vulnerable. Who knows? But right now, we are tackling on what we have at hand right now, women.
Yeah.
So we must have leaders who categorically treat women and girls as a delicate matter because violence is against them, all forms of violence.
Yeah.
And we spoke about them.
Yeah.
So, you get my point?
I get your point.
And a feminist leader, when men will be vulnerable, they will also put programs in place to support men.
Yeah.
You get it? So a feminist is someone who is on an equal stand. And they should not tell us. Magoha was a feminist leader, if you ask me, my opinion, because of the progressive reforms he was trying to push during his tenure. And he could broadly say, this is no, this is right.
Yeah.
Without fear of intimidation.
Yeah.
So until when will we rise above that? Will we rise to that standard?
Yeah.
We need leaders who can act like that.
Yeah.
And people should stop thinking that feminism is about, angry women who are not married. Yes, women who are not married. Yeah, women who see each and every person as a human being and treating all sexes and gender the same, equitably and equally.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that is it.
That's it. That's been a long discussion about this. Thank you so much for lending your voice to this. I think you have a lot to talk about in issues that are affecting men and women in our country.
Yes, a lot.
And how we can even hold those who hold these instruments of power, both men and women, to account to ensure that we are able to move the needle forward when it comes to such pertinent issues. So thank you so much for joining us today. Thank you for sharing your voice to this.
I know.
I don't know if you have anything to say as a parting shot before we close.
Short. Oh, this discussion on women issues, or rather gender, let me just say gender. It is so broad. Yes. It is so broad. Imagine someone spent their whole year in school studying gender. So it's something very, very broad. And I feel like we should not be ignorant. Read one, two, three things. They're there. Books are there. Just try and read and understand different ways under which this gender, present themselves.
Yeah.
Or how can we address the most vulnerable people in the society? Policy reforms that we really would love to see.
Yeah.
And also, how can we progress collectively? How can we progress collectively so that no one is being left behind?
Yeah.
And the moment you feel yourself, when people are talking and you're just, yes, 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 question that too.
Question, yeah.
Yeah.
Question.
A question is, so we are living in an age where you'll be left out if you don't read.
Yeah.
So just read. I'm also reading. I'm not well versed, but I think basic knowledge and even high level knowledge, I have it. And I feel like this discussion we've had has just tackled a fraction.
Yeah, a
very small fraction. So it's a discussion that I feel we can continue talking about. And yes, and Hannah Cheptumo should either work with the people. Right now, she's the CS. I know civic society groups will really push her for her to be shifted to another ministry. But I feel right now, if she really wants now to be heard, to unchange that will be so hard. Unchanging that will be, atolewe tu apelekwe kwingine. Yes, apelekwe kwingine so that she's not telling us she's learning in the job. Imagine learning in a job and people are dying.
Yeah.
Learning in the job while girls are not going to
lives
school.
Are at stake. Yeah.
Girls are not going to school. Learning in the job when, there are no schools in the first place.
Yeah.
Learning in the job when that gender principle has not been achieved.
A lot is on the line.
A lot. And you're learning in the job. Please, you're not for that role. We are there to, she should set the... Yeah,
you can chill. You can go relax. She said she's a wealthy woman. So
she's a wealthy woman. Why do you want this role, Mama?
Yeah. Thank you so much, Jill. Thank you so much for joining us on this episode of Political Headache. I hope you have enjoyed the conversation and learned a thing or two about the different issues that pertain to gender in our country. It's such a vast topic. There's so much to talk about when it comes to how the genders relate to each other. As Jill has said, educate yourself, read, talk to people about their experiences, try and understand the nuances of how our politics impacts how men and women relate to each other. Yeah. Right now, there is a petition that is being signed to make femicide a crime. Sign it. We will leave the link on the description box below. Thank you so much for joining us. We'll see you next time. Bye.
Be in discipline. Yeah.